All right, gang, welcome back. We are at Rack Recommendations, episode 4. We are live right now, and I have a returning guest, first-time returning guest on the Rad Recommendation show, and it is Mr. GCap Recap himself. You caught him. I think he was on episode 2, I think, and he is back for us to talk about a cool little movie that I'll chat about in a second, but let's introduce Mr. GCap Recap. And what's up, man? How have you been?
Good, man. How you been? I hope everybody out there watching has been good as well. Starting the new year, so hopefully the new year started off right.
Yeah, so far so good. You know, doing the best we can. I'm just pretty much taking it day by day, week by week. Again, just trying to fit these kind of things into my schedule. So it's awesome that you were able to get on here tonight.
Yes. We've been talking about Black Roses for quite a few weeks now, so I'm glad we can finally come together and share this important work with the world.
Yes. So if anybody is tuning in live and wants to chit-chat, just throw some comments up, and we will do our best to answer them regarding the movie or just to chit-chat about other things. So, yeah, so basically, like he was saying, is I did a video quite a while ago. Again, I've only been at this for about maybe 4 months. One of the earlier videos I did was about movies that need upgrades. I think that was the one, or maybe movies you should watch around Halloween, or underrated movies, or something I did. And one of the movies that I did bring up was a little underrated gem that I just absolutely love, and I feel like it gets no love at all, and that is
None.
Black Roses. So Black Roses. So I've been, hyping this movie for a while. I fell in love with it since the first time I saw it. And you know what? Mr. GCap Recap happened to do an awesome GCap Recap style review over on his page for Black Roses. So when I commented on it and we started chatting, I said, man, we got to get this little recommendation video in because we both adore this movie so much.
Yes, and I mean, yeah. Thank you for saying that. The review I did goes into depth of the movie, but there's so many things around it to talk about. It was too much to capture in such a short amount of time. So there's a lot of other things we could talk about, like behind the scenes stuff and things like that. And yeah, like you said, if there's any questions, please ask them. Ask us anything.
Anything you want, guys. We have some people watching now, so come say what's up so I know who's here. So really quick, let's dial back and kind of figure out when did you find out about this movie? Me, I did not come across this movie until I was just really deep into DVD collecting. I don't even know what. I think it was one of those things where I used to go out. I was in my early to mid 20s, and I would just like go around horror sections and stuff and buy things that I never seen before that I thought looked kind of cool. And I started grabbing a lot of titles from Synapse, and this was one of them. And I popped it in, and I was just like, where has this been, all my life here?
Yeah, the first time I saw it, a video store, Blockbuster, I went and rented it. I saw it sitting up there, and it was one of those boxes where it was almost like those maps in school where the states popped out, like those physical maps.
Yeah.
It was very cool. I'm like, I'll go take this home. I was into that kind of music back then, and the whole like paranoia around heavy metal and hard rock and all that. So I'm like, I'll check it out. I mean, it was so low budget that it was amazing. I mean, I instantly was like, I watched it several times. As much as in our last video I was talking about Miami Connection, as much as I love that, I mean, I've seen this movie like 10 times the amount of times I've seen of that, just because it's like back 88, 89, I was like a little kiddie. So
wow.
Yeah, it was wow. Yeah, I just picked it up myself. So I lent it out to somebody many years ago. They never returned it. So if you're watching this, shame on you. But look at this, though. I got a new one. I got an upgrade.
I love it. Speaking of upgrade, I think it's something that needs to be upgraded. Actually, to be honest, I think the quality of the DVD looks pretty damn good. I noticed it the other day when I kind of rewatched it one more time because I knew we were doing this video. And I was like, kind of like, you know what, this does look really good. And I'm not sure if it's just because, I have a large 4K TV or what, but the transfer is really well done on this. And I'm just really curious to see what it would look like if it was upgraded into that more, Blu-rays type HD kind of format. And I'm hoping that it does get, you know, that release that we're looking for. I'm not sure if there's any issues with it when it comes to the music, which I'm sure we will talk a lot about as we go.
Yes.
But yeah, it's actually a pretty cool looking DVD too. It's kind of like, it's got like that chromey looking, you know, look to it. So it kind of does stand out on its own. We have a couple comments coming through really quick, and I'll just say what's up.
Oh, wow.
Who we got here? We got Dirks Girths. You know him. I know.
I think I do. Yes.
Not off the top of my head, but guess what? Welcome, man. And what's up?
What's up, Dirk?
We got Justin, Mr. Ryan, 1988. He was actually on my last Rad recommendation episode. So, Justin, what is up, man? You have never seen this movie. You will definitely have to check it out. Hopefully, even more after we kind of talk about it a little bit more in depth here. Yes. All right. We got Mook Chi is checking us out over here. Says, "What's up?"
Oh, yes, Mook Chai.
Mook Chai.
What did he say?
He said, "What up, yo, GCap?"
Oh, what up, Mook?
All right, so thank you guys for checking this out. Yeah, we have quite a bit of people actually watching right now, which is great, especially because, you know, we promoted a little bit, but not really enough, I think. Yeah. Unless they just saw the picture and they say, you know what, I love that movie. I want to hear what that yeah. So what I was kind of getting at there was the upgrade of the DVD onto a Blu-ray format, which again, you know, I don't know if Synapse would be up to doing it, but I don't know where the rights are now. But I think it definitely deserves it, even though I think the quality looks really good on the DVD itself.
Yeah, you're right. The DVD, like I said, I just bought this recently because I wanted to add this to my collection. I didn't know at the time, you know, I don't stay with movie collection as much as you do, but I thought it would be on Blu-ray. I just naturally thought, like, there's so many things that are out there that have been upgraded, and I found this, and when I popped it in just to have it, I was like, this isn't too bad. I mean, even the sound, whatever, the music that came out very nice. But yeah, I have to believe between you know, the movie itself, I mean, there has to be people like they want to do any kind of commentary or interviews. There's probably some good things. I mean, if they could put on this, you know, if they did upgrade the disc, I mean, even just doing research for the movie and just trying to find some behind the scene things. There's so many photos and just so many interesting stories that I found out about this movie. This like little movie that definitely does not a lot of people have heard of and doesn't get the love that it deserves. So yeah, I mean, I think that would be great. I'd be the first one to buy it. Maybe second.
I hear you, man. I would be soup too. Now, what's funny is that you kind of brought up that that you had watched, you know, Miami Connection a bunch, and you've watched this a lot more because Miami Connection was actually the review that we did a couple months back, maybe a month and a half ago or so on this channel. And if you guys go back and watch that one, we talk about a cool movie, Miami Connection. So kind of comparing the two, even though they are not similar at all, but Miami Connection to me was one of those movies that it's so good because it's so bad. Like, the music's awesome in it. I'm not going to lie. Is it cheesy? Sure. But I love that stuff, man. Like, I love it. Oh, yeah. So, but the acting and stuff and the story in Miami Connection is almost so ridiculous that it makes it fun, right? But I personally think Black Roses is actually like a really good movie. In the sense of we're talking what 80s horror was back then and how this movie looks as far as the storyline, as far as the special effects. I mean, this to me is right in there with all those other movies that you're looking at, like things like, you know, The Stuff or anything that kind of had, you know, those cool 80s style special effects in the horror genre, which is just kind of a really not cheesy plot, but at the same time, just like a very unique plot. So to me, I don't think this is so bad it's good. I think this is so good that it's good.
I'm glad you said that. Yes, Miami Connection is so ridiculous that you can't look away, and that's its charm. But this movie, you know, I mean, I could just tell just from watching it. But then, like I said, after for doing the GCap recap and just doing some research and looking for things and finding stories about this, I mean, this was at the time, like I said, I don't know anybody out there, anybody like their age or how old they were back in those late 80s, but rock and roll and heavy metal by a lot of church groups, by a lot of parents groups, it was demonized. Like, you know, it was hard for somebody like me to even go in a store and buy a record. You know, I mean, even the hair bands, you know, I mean, everything was, if you played Led Zeppelin backwards, yeah, I mean, that's how I found out about Led Zeppelin, because they're like, well, if you play Led Zeppelin backwards, you know, Stairway to Heaven. And I'm like, oh, who's Led Zeppelin? Let me go buy this. It's like a little kid. I mean, so they were almost advertising it in a sense. But you get the guys that like Kiss and Ozzy that, you know, they look kind of evil. I guess back then in that whole, you know, like I said, through the eyes of the media and these church groups, you know, before we had those infomercials at night, a lot of these church groups would buy these hour-long, almost like hour advertisements, just demonizing music and not to watch it, which for being churches and they're supposed to give out, I don't know where they were getting money to buy these hour ads, but on a daily basis, but yeah, they were buying them. Somehow they were getting this money.
Yeah, they were really, like you said, they were kind of bashing, you know, hard rock and heavy metal at the time, like how awful it was and how it's going to destroy your kids and all this other stuff. So yeah, you're right. Like it was a big deal. It was almost like that forbidden thing then, you know, especially for younger kids.
And this movie was kind of like this movie kind of the director, John Fasano, rest in peace. He really kind of took that and made it into a story, but any of us knew that that was all smoke and mirrors and gimmick and music producers and money. That was a multi-million-dollar business back then, you know. But this actually takes a movie and it has the band truly be devil, like demons. So
it took what everybody was saying and made a movie almost kind of, you know, not poking fun, but just kind of like, yeah, like it kind of like turned it on its head where it's like, yeah, like, you know, maybe this is what you guys think happens kind of thing. And I think they do a really good job about it. And I've said this before. I mean, I'm huge into, you know, that kind of music, 80s rock, 80s metal, hair bands. I love all that stuff so much. So any movie that brings that kind of stuff into it, like already kind of catches my attention. So there's other movies along this same line that came out, you know, around the same time. And the biggest one that comes to my mind that gets talked about more is Trick or Treat with, you know, which again is got that cover of Ozzy and Gene Simmons on it, which is, you know, a total selling point for that movie. You know what? I love that movie with Sammy Kerr, and I think it's a great movie. But personally, I would pick this movie over that any day of the week. That's just me. And I don't know if it's just the vibe of, you know, how kind of 80s it is just all around. Like this is the type of movie that I could put on, you know, like I said, where if I take some of those 80s movies with the cool special effects that are just kind of bonkers, like The Stuff and The Blob and The Gate, and I could kind of sneak Black Roses right in the mix, and it kind of falls in the same not genre per se, but it kind of falls in the same idea where the plot is just so off the walls and the special effects are so cool that it just makes it just an enjoyable movie. It's fun, you know?
Yeah. And I know, listen, and like, I want to back that up too, because for anybody that's listening that like loves Trick or Treat, you know, don't come with no pitchforks or anything. I love Trick or Treat too. I think it's a great movie. I really like it a lot. Like I just watched it. I watch it every Halloween, right? So I watched it again. I mean, that even has, you know, the selling point of Gene Simmons and Ozzy Osbourne, even though they're in it, like a total of like 2 minutes combined. You know, if you take both of their sections and cram them together, that's something we should talk about another time. But yeah, even so, I love that movie. But there's something about this movie. I don't know. I don't know. There's just the music, everything just kind of sticks out to me more. As much as I love that movie, I like this one more. I put this one ahead of it.
Right. Yeah. I mean, like I said, I love Trick or Treat itself. And the only reason I bring that up is because along the same lines where it's like that 80s, you mix kind of like heavy metal in with a horror movie. And that's the one that I think more people talk about. So to me, I'm only using that as a comparison because I love it. But at the same time, it's kind of like if you like that movie and you're giving it all these props and you haven't seen this one, or maybe you haven't seen this one in a long time, I definitely think it's one that you need to rewatch. Because to me, it's just as good, if not personally, a little bit better. But I think, again, I love that movie as well. And we got another one. And this is a question for GCap over here, because when it comes down to alcohol, I can't help anybody out because I haven't drank it.
Oh, jeez. What's the question?
All right, maybe like 10 years. So this is from Mr. Freddy in Space himself, John Squires.
Oh! What's up, Boots?
And he says, if I'm going to watch Black Roses, what kind of alcohol would you recommend I pair it with? This is for you, my friend.
Wow. All right. I would definitely. This one's a little bit of a banger. It's not a very long movie. So if you took a look at my last review, I do think, a nice glass of or 2 or 3 of rosé will help get you through it. But if you really want to like rock out in that hard mood, grab yourself a nice double IPA, ride it through, and then pound out whatever you want after that.
See, there you go, Johnny. He got that's his recommendation over there. Hey, man, thanks for checking it out for sure. I appreciate it. So
thank you for the question. Yeah, great question. Very, 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 very important question.
It's unfortunate I couldn't help you on that one, man. So what we are going to talk about now is I just want to kind of start running down the movie a little bit. Again, we don't want to go crazy spoilers. It did come out in, I think, 88. So, guys, hopefully we've all mostly seen it by now. If not, we'll just kind of touch some parts that stood out to us, or maybe some funny things that we found, or some things about the movie that kind of took place behind the scenes, but just kind of giving it a little bit of a recap through the movie. I will say, personally, and you can chime in on this too, what an opening to this movie, in my opinion. It's a really cool opening where, you kind of see the streets and the stuff going on, and, you're outside like in this city, and there looks like there's a concert going on in this like bar. Then all of a sudden they kind of zoom in, and you've got this band playing, and the song is killer, and these guys are playing on stage, and they're legit like, it's like a hair band, but their faces are like zombies pretty much, or creatures, but they've got the whole garb on and all that other stuff, and they're playing the instruments and singing a song. And man, this song rocks. And I guess this was a song by Lizzie Borden, and they used it for this movie. And I'm going to tell you right now is that, is this Me Against the World? Is that this one? Is that the song?
Me Against the World, yes. Thank you, Lizzie Borden, for letting them use that, because that song's amazing. Yes.
And I didn't know this song until this movie. So to me, I never knew that this was another band's song until I did a little more research on the movie, because I was looking for that song all over the place, and I'm like, I couldn't find it. So come to find out, it was Lizzie Borden. And guys, look up Me Against the World, Lizzie Borden. It's on Spotify. That is going to be on your playlist. I guarantee it. It's killer. And this opening scene is just so badass. What's your opinion, man?
I'll tell you, it's kind of funny if you watch it now, like when you see them in concert, it is a great opening. The makeup they're wearing, they almost look like a Wish gar or whatever, like a budget gar or whatever. And you're not sure if that's like what the band's supposed to be wearing or what, because the movie just started, and they're playing.
Right.
But that freaking song, man, I love that. So that's like one of my favorite songs ever. That's right. And I said that. I love it. I said I love it. Going more to your fact, as a kid, when we can't go on IMDb or anything or search for what Me Against the World is, I thought Black Roses was like a band, and like they sang all the songs in the movie. I had no idea it was a collaboration, but
I was in my early
about Lizzie Borden. Yes.
Man, it's a killer tune. I don't know if this movie has a soundtrack. If it does, I may have the vinyl. If it does not, I obviously don't. But again, I just know that I was always such a huge fan of the soundtrack here, that I know for a fact I would have picked it up in some format at some point in time. I don't know. I don't pick into my vinyls too much, but if there is one, I might have it. But man, if you can find the songs for this movie, I recommend making a little playlist on your own. Like I said, I know that if you go check out Lizzie Borden on Spotify, they've got this tune and plus a lot of other good tunes as well. That opening act was, it just kind of hits you. And right when I saw that for the first time, I was like, all right, this movie is right up my alley right away. Before I even knew what this was about, I just loved the effects. It was, I'm very much into the practical. People could say that they're cheesy and lame, but to me, those always worked for me. They still work for me. And what I like is what happens next. So they kind of go through this concert. A couple, shit kind of hits the fan. You're not really sure what's going on. And then the next scene where they start with the opening credits, you kind of see like a street. It's daytime. And what I find pretty fascinating, and again, it just, to me, it just pulls out more of that 80s charm where to some people like, what, this doesn't make any sense. But the title screen comes in and you've got these vines of roses kind of coming into the screen. And what's so cool is that it's animated, right? So it's almost like a very creep show like look because it's animated rose vines coming into the screen on like an empty street.
Yep.
And then all of a sudden it just, this cool tune hits and it says Black Roses and it's almost like animated like a cartoon. And then as that's there, these two Lambos like come driving through the street.
Yes.
Kind of crash the logo out. Again, it's so weird that it was that animation for the logo in a movie like this. You never see that. Like, it really just reminded me of like what they do in like a creep show type thing. The music here, like the score of it, you know, I've heard a lot of these little, you know, I kept hearing these things and I'm like, man, this sounds very similar. Like I've almost heard this before, but man, when you get two Lamborghinis coming down a dead street in the middle of the day, I mean, again, in my head, I'm thinking, dude, this is still sick. You know, like,
yeah. Those cars are pretty badass. Yeah, those Lambos come down.
Was that what it was? Okay.
Yeah, it was. Yep. They opened up. I don't know much. Like, I'm not a car guy, so I don't know what models they were or anything. But like, I mean, those are like the '80s Lambos. Like, those are, you know, any car that had like a weird door that opened, like the DeLorean or anything, I was marked out for. So.
And then these 80s hair metal looking guys get out and they start putting some posters up saying Black Roses is coming to town. And it's the old flyers. They're kind of pinning them all over the place. And that's kind of the opening scene between, you know, you don't know what went on at that concert at the beginning. You just knew the song was killer. Yeah. Then you had some killer score stuff coming on with some synth and all that stuff coming in. And then you see the two Lamborghinis and these cool 80s hairband looking dudes get out and start putting posters up all over town. So that's kind of the opening scene there in a nutshell. But man, I just think that's a really cool opening scene. It just kind of had a little bit of everything. It like still gave you that charm that I think that the rest of the movie kind of holds as well.
I mean, it introduces the band. So right away, it's like, yeah, these guys are not to be messed with. Like, obviously something happens, like, you know, with that whole theater scene where everybody rushes out after they're done playing the song. Then you're talking about the animated sequence when they roll up with the Lambos. And those door open, but like those guys get out, and I mean that hair, all that hair that comes out, oh, it's amazing. It's beautiful. Beautiful sight to see. It's a great way to start a movie.
Yeah, it was definitely cool. Now, actually kind of backtracking, there was something I found at that first, and if anybody hasn't checked it and they're going to check it out again or for the first time after they see this review, keep your eyes on this. When they are that initial opening where they're playing as the zombies or the monsters or whatever, and they're rocking out and they show the audience, right? So obviously, you know, you had the movie being made and these kids all in the audience like rocking out and stuff. There's one kid that always makes me laugh because he's in the front row like doing this and he's going like this, and then he stops and like looks up and then like makes sure he's doing this and then starts doing it again. Like it almost like and I had to rewind it because I was like, what the heck? Like he was like, then he like stopped and he's going again. And I was like, oh my God.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. It's one of those little things you have to see on multiple viewings. Like, yeah, he wants to make sure. He's like, do I have? Yeah, okay, yeah, I'm cool. Yeah, I got
and then he changed it up. It's almost like that, like he had never been to a concert in his life and they were like, get in here, get your front row, pal.
Yeah.
You know, so I always thought that was kind of funny. And it's sometimes you don't notice it right away unless you're looking for it. But keep your eye on that. Front row at the beginning during that first initial thing. He just looks really awkward. I'm surprised that they left that in there because he was like legit in the front row of the audience there.
Man, free help. You know what I mean? Like, you know.
Now, what I want you to, and I don't know if you noticed this too, because I honestly did not really notice this too much until this last time that I'd watched this. Again, like I said, I popped it on a couple days ago, knowing that we were going to do this. So I wanted to just kind of brush my myself up on the movie itself and just make sure I pointed out some key parts. But what I found pretty interesting was this whole first scene where you're starting to learn the kids and their families and the characters and all this other stuff. The music that's playing in the back and how they're kind of setting up this movie doesn't feel like a horror movie at all. It almost seems like it's like some kind of 80s like sitcom-y, like the music that's chosen there. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, I think look back on it again and listen. Like it just is a really interesting songs and score that they're using here when they're introducing all the kids, because it's almost like it just doesn't, you wouldn't look at that and be like, oh, this is a horror movie. It almost comes off kind of like you're watching like a teen comedy, you know, and then they end up at school and that's kind of where you start learning. But it's that whole time where like the kids will go into school and you're kind of getting introduced to their parents and all this other stuff. It was a very weird score, but I at the same time, like I said, it to me, that's kind of the charm of the movie. Like it kind of just does these things that, you know, it's different, you know?
Yes, I do have to correct you though. You were saying all the teenagers and all the kids, but they're really like 35-year-olds that are playing. Those
old high school students.
Yes.
So you're saying that I could be in high school in that movie? Is that what you're telling me?
Yeah, me too. Yeah, check. Yeah. Look at us. You know, we'll just shave a little bit. You know, and show a little baby face. But yeah, that's I do like the way it's set up, and I do like the way that they established that the teacher's like a really good guy, and he's an English teacher. He's a literature teacher, and you know, all the kids really like him, and they're good students, and all that. And so I do like the way they kind of set that up, and then everything seems normal, and they're a little bit excited because, you know, Black Roses is coming to town, you know, so they're supposed to be this big band doing their first world tour. And they're starting this big world tour, as, you know, big, huge band in this little town, you know, and they're not going to be there one night. They're going to be there 4 nights. Yeah, so I don't know what kind of, you know, money that, you know, they think they're Black Roses think that they're like rolling in, you know, in this little town, what kind of commerce they have set up there to afford 4 shows. But yeah, that's where they decided to kick it off at this little place. So, but yeah, there's a lot of excitement around the town, and you know, everybody there seems pretty normal, pretty happy, except for that one blonde girl who doesn't blink the entire movie, who I think is like raging on cocaine the whole time. I don't know if you know who I'm talking about, but she's like from the very beginning, you know, everybody's kind of like normal and nice, but she's like, I can't wait till, you know, they're gonna be in town. I mean, I'm like, whoa, easy, easy. Going a little bit past the caffeine there. So
well, you know,
cocaine's a hell of a drug.
Maybe that's why, like I said, they did play that kind of music at the beginning when you were learning the kids, because it's almost like they wanted you to feel that this was like the most purest, innocent town possible, just by like the songs and stuff that they were playing in the background of while they're introducing everybody. Maybe they were trying to come off like this is almost like a Leave It to Beaver town, and these rockers are going to come in and ruin everything. Now, really quick, Dirk in the chat just asked, is there any way that we can try to locate that Horns boy now? Right? So
yeah, I mean, jeez.
So, dude, if you happen to check this out at any point in time, like maybe you're looking up Black Roses because you want to like remember that movie that you were in, contact us.
It would blow our minds. Glad you even called that out, man. That's one. Yeah, that's a great one. If we ever find that guy, that'd be great. If we could talk to him.
Yeah. So like you said, now they're in school, and this is where they're kind of all excited, telling the teachers like, you know, Black Roses, they never tour, you know, and they're gonna be here, and this is crazy. They're coming out of the studio and they're gonna start their tour here, and this is unheard of. And that's when kind of the parents and the teachers are like, all right, well, maybe we should kind of put a stop to this type of thing.
Yes. That's when that starts. That's when that whole thing we just talked about earlier starts kicking in. You know, oh, they're gonna ruin the kids' minds, and it's gonna ruin the town. They're gonna raise all kinds of hell, and it's gonna be you know, that you know, but still though, like the teacher, Mr. Morehouse, he's Matt Morehouse, he's you know, he's like one of those like cool teachers, like he's like, hey, like I'm a cool guy, but you know, he's a little you know, skeptical of them, but still he's like, yeah, they're kids, man, let them go blow off some steam. They're great kids. Like their level of enthusiasm around school reminds me of, did you ever see Better Off Dead?
Of course.
Okay, so like, you know, the math teacher, how they're like, you know, they want homework all the time, and you know, they cheered when there was homework, and they were like really into like all these like mind-blowing like math problems. They're kind of like that, only it's played seriously here. But yeah, he tells them to go blow off some steam at the concert, and you know, everybody in the town wants to stop it. So the two people that sort of go to bat for them is the mayor. Is one of them.
The mayor or the cop? Who was that guy?
The mayor, Mayor Farnsworth.
Blondish hair.
Yeah,
he was the one that was like, oh, you don't remember the Beatles? Remember that guy? Who?
Yeah, that's oh man.
Was he the mayor of town? I forget.
He is Mayor Farnsworth. He's the mayor of the town. And he's been in a lot of different movies. I think he's in Die Hard too. Like he's a veteran actor. He's been in like a lot of stuff, not as like a main role, but yeah, he's the one that kind of supports them. And what I really like about this is most movies, the mayors, and anytime something bad's brought into a town or an event or something like that, it's always that the mayor is the bad guy, and he's always worried about money, and he knows it. Like he knows this is a bad thing, but no, like the mayor, I applaud them for doing this. Like the mayor's actually a good guy. Like he's just saying, like, let's not be like we're old, but let's not be old biddies like people were back in the 50s when we used to rock out to do the twist or whatever, and people said that was evil, or overly sexual or things like that. So even our I'm gonna say that was even brought up too. Like when I first watched it, to our mutual friend at Shit Movie Fest, shout out at Shit Movie Fest. I watched this with him the first time, and he even looked at me. He's like, "The mayor's in on this, isn't he?" And I'm like, I don't want to blow up, but I'm like, no, he's actually, he doesn't want to be an old biddy. He wants to be like cool. He wants the town to be cool. He doesn't.
This is gonna bring some big money to the town here.
Yeah, it's like I got 4 shows here. Not 1, not 2, 3, 4. But yeah, them thinking they're devil worshippers and all that other stuff. That was blown out. The mayor's actually a good guy in this, which is nice. It's refreshing.
Yeah. So then they kind of come to a decision that they, as much as like the town's kind of fighting back and forth about allowing this to go on, they kind of come to the idea where, hey, listen, like, what, let's go to their first show, and just see what's going on there, and we'll decide if we want to shut it down or not, kind of thing. Is that kind of where they end up going here? But with this, and again, if I'm kind of jumping a little bit from anything important, let me know. But this is where all of a sudden now there's a scene, which is kind of interesting scene, where they show Johnny and Julie. Is that her name?
Mm-hmm.
Julie?
Yep. Johnny and Julie. Yep.
Down the street. I guess they just got out of that conference where everybody was like trying to shut it down, and Johnny's bent out of shape, and he's like, no, nobody lets anything cool happen around here, and I want this, and da, and he's like ranting and raving, and then all of a sudden he's kind of like, and that teacher, Mr. Morehouse, he says this, but he's like, I know that you and him are and then you're kind of looking, you're like, wait, was that established, or is that when he like that kind of was like let on, like by that, did he like say it, or did they kind of say it at the earlier, like that you would think that? I don't remember, but I remember I just thought it was kind of funny, that he kind of just brought it up out of nowhere.
It was implied. That's what I mean. That's one weird thing about this movie. I mean, it was implied. Like it shows you the way, like it shows you when Mr. Morehouse is first in class and he's talking. It cuts to a close up of her and she's got like lust in her eyes, And then as they're leaving, the girl that doesn't blink, she even says to Johnny, "Yeah, you might as well give up. Like she's totally into him or whatever, that kind of a thing." But it almost looks like from that scene you're saying that you were just describing. I thought they were gonna, like, there's that whole angle where I thought they were gonna be like a thing, and after the scene you're talking about, never touched on again. Never. Like they're just.
It almost like he was a little bit jealous as well, so he was kind of busting on her about loving the teacher and stuff. And I just thought it was a pretty cool scene of them doing this, because it's like he's ranting about, everybody always tells him what to do, and he's going to rebel and all this stuff. And it almost was like it could have been a music video back then, because then he does this one thing where he like runs up and like swings on the telephone pole and kind of like hangs on it. And he's like telling her his sorrows of like how he's not going to put up with anybody, bossing him around anymore, and how nothing's fair and all this other stuff. And that then all of a sudden he's like, I'm going to paint the street, and like
paint the street red. Yeah. Yeah.
So it was kind of a funny scene, because it was just kind of a little overdone. But at the same time, like I said, it's a very interesting dynamic of the movie itself, because you have that one end of the spectrum where you got like the hard rock and all this other stuff going on. Then you got the other end of the spectrum, and it's almost like, like they are in like, Pleasantville, USA or whatever. And, these kids are like, he's like hanging from a street pole. Like, it just doesn't seem like something like the cool rebel guy would be doing, on,
yeah. Well, he's like, I'm going to show this now, man. I'm going to paint the street.
Yeah. So
like, you rebel, you man. You show him. You show him, Johnny. You show him, kid.
And then he runs away anyway, so he doesn't even do it.
Yeah. And he chickens out. He's in Mr.
Yeah.
Morehouse. He's like, yeah, and he runs away. And I'm like, yeah, you're a real bad. You got a real badass over here. Yeah.
And then, so then we kind of, jump to it. So that the first show for Black Roses ends up starting. Now you've got the kids there, they're all amped up, and then the parents and the teachers are all there because they want to kind of see what this band's about. They don't really know much about them, but they're, they want to make sure that this is going to be okay having them in town. So they kind of set up there just to get a glimpse of what's going on. And so then you've got Damien, who is the main lead singer of this band, and he's like the one that everybody loves. He's on the cover of the albums, and he's on the posters and stuff. And
yeah, they don't even show you, like, I love that too, but it's like the poster doesn't even say like Black Roses. It says like, come see Damien or whatever. And I'm like, okay, I guess that's all right, sure. Yeah. Sorry, I just wanted to think it.
So you also did some recaps on other movies that this guy was in, right? What is he in? One more movie?
It's Sal Viviano, my paisan, right? So we have that Italian connection. Yeah, he was in the director of this movie, Sal Fasano. John Fasano. When he was done with this film, the very next year he did The Jitters, and that's when I did a GCap recap on. And I only went and watched that because, I saw the name, the guy that played Damien's in it is like, the male lead. And I'm like, oh, I've got to check this out because I thought he was pretty good in Black Roses for the little limited amount of time he was in. But yeah, you're right. Yeah, he was in that. I think he's more of a professional singer than actor, but I think he's had little, from me doing research, he's done some little spot things, but this is probably his big role, the one he's known for the most.
Yeah, I thought he did great in it.
Yeah.
So what's funny is the show starts and he comes out. He's wearing all white, I think, and introduces himself, very pleasant. Then he goes into like this ballad, which is a
beautiful song.
Yeah, it's so killer, man. Like I even met him that day, and I'm like, who sings this song? I want it. Like it's a cool, like, it goes back to those 80s like love ballads or whatever, which again, I'm definitely a sucker for those. And it's a real cool song. And I think he said in the movie, was it about his parents or something, maybe the song?
He goes up there, he's like, I'm going to sing you a song. It reminds me of home.
Oh, is that what it was? Yeah.
I'm like, yeah.
So he's singing this cool love ballad, and it's, he's rocking out, and it's such a great song. And, the teachers and the parents are like, all right, this is nice. Like, there's nothing going on here. And then they leave. So then it's just the kids and them. So as soon as that song's over and all the parents and teachers are out there, they rip off all their nice white clothes, and they've got like leather, this like leather chains and this cool attire. Like they look like they are straight out of like they were part of Demolition from the WWF. Like,
they're in their S&M garb, man. Yeah, like whoa, contrast.
And then they start rocking out hard. Like it starts getting heavy, right? So the parents are gone, and it was like, we tricked them. And, now they start rocking out. Again, another killer track here. So that's when things start to get a little bit interesting. That you start to things start to unfold a little bit here.
Yeah. You know what I like about that song too? If I could take it, it's a beautiful song. Like I said, I think all the songs in this movie are actually like really, really good songs. I love that song too because it's definitely even the title of it is very 80s, So it's if I'm correct, the song is called Paradise, and then in parentheses is We're on Our Way There. Like like back then they used to have the parentheses, Paradise in parentheses, We're on Our Way There.
I couldn't find this on Spotify or anything, so unless I just didn't know where to look.
Yeah, you can't find. I look too, man. YouTube, Massey, I don't know how you pronounce it. That's the person that actually sang it. So that's about the extent of it I know. If you look at the soundtrack, it says it's by Black Roses. That's why I thought they were a real band. So
yeah, and I have to really go look and see if if I do have that vinyl. But yeah, it's a great song. Actually, I do have it, I think. But yeah,
I love how the parents' council is like, we're gonna do it. We're going to make a huge decision, a major decision, whether we're going to kick them out or not. We're going to go watch this concert. And they make the decision. but it's like 15 seconds of the song. I mean, Damien doesn't even reach the chorus, right? And they're like, well, I don't know about you, but I gotta get up early. I'm like, man, I hope people in Mill Basin don't make all their major decisions like this quickly. Like, geez, man, they leave, you know?
So yeah, like we said again, this is where things start going on, and the biggest thing with this movie too is like we've been talking about is the music is it just kicks, man. Like it's just an awesome, there's awesome atmosphere here. You feel like you're at like this 80s concert, and then they start again. You can kind of help me out here. I'm not sure if do they show everything here? Is that when things go crazy, or is that like at the next show?
Yeah, no, right after this, the kids the next day, they're in class, they look a little like burnout. And yeah, Mr. Morehouse is just like, God, they were out partying, go get some sleep. And then he's concerned because Julie's like, yeah, Damien gave us all tickets to the rest of the shows for free. And he's like, really? So but then that's when they start getting a little bit aggressive. And he decides Mr. Morehouse wants to go down and talk to this Damien character and see what's going on, just to make sure everything is on the up and up, and he's not doing anything shady.
Mm-hmm.
But the aggression definitely starts there.
Yeah. So then after that all goes down, they end up going back to the shows, and then again things just get a little bit crazier and crazier. Where now all of a sudden you start seeing that these guys are transforming a little bit here on stage. And now it's kind of going back to, what we saw at the beginning of the movie here. And shit just starts hitting the fan here. Things are happening to the people in the audience, which, again, the special effects here are awesome, man. Like, it's just, I don't know if it's masks or prosthetics or whatever, but it's so ridiculous that it's so awesome. Like, it's one of those things that people will like, oh, that looks so ridiculous. But that's the kind of stuff as a kid that I saw a lot of that stuff a lot. And that's still to me like freaky stuff. It's like that it looks just so almost non-human that it's scary, right? Like the faces, the really exaggerated, the eyes bulging out, the big wide mouths. And, obviously you look at that and you're like, oh, that's not realistic looking at all. But it's just got that pure nostalgia for me as like, you saw a lot more of that, back in the 80s and early 90s when it came to just anything. Like those are the things that would be creepy or scary, to me. So you start seeing a lot of that.
I give credit to I was gonna say I agree with you 100%. I definitely give credit. Whether it looks cheesy or not, I think there's just more soul, more time, more work put into practical effects. So even back then, even if they're used today, I think they're great. Versus just going something easy to CGI that just looks you wouldn't say practical effects look fake. Well, CGI to me now looks fake. Like our friend who Freddie in Space that commented earlier used to have that whole CGY little articles he used to do back in his blog days. So, and that's what I always like when I saw it, I'm like, yeah, I'm more about the practical effects than the CGI. And you might look at them now and think whatever. And I mean, back then it was, they were kind of corny, but because you're watching a movie. But other than that, I mean, it was more real. It's something you could touch. Some of these puppets that they make, it's something you could touch. It's not fake.
No, and that's exactly your point. Like that bringing up the CGI, I am not at all a fan of CGI. I mean, I'm going to tell you right now that, obviously as the years went on, it's gotten a lot better. You start looking at movies like in the mid to late 90s where they were just starting to figure this stuff out. And man, it still looks terrible. Like the movie may be great, but once they get to those CGI point, like I'm even thinking about movies like, I'm just going to like give you just an example, like Spawn, right? You watch Spawn and all of a sudden they're getting into those scenes where he's like in hell or whatever, that other dimension. And it looks absolutely ridiculous. Like it looks like he, in like a computer game or whatever. And it doesn't even make any sense. You look at other movies, even like movies, like I think, correct me if I'm wrong on this, but even like Species, that's when they started kind of really getting into the CGI, and it just doesn't look good, man. And it's gotten better. I think like Jurassic Park, for whatever reason, still holds up. As you start getting into like 4K, you can actually see how it doesn't look as good as it did when you saw it for the first time. But I can't get into it still. Like everybody I know is really big into, the Marvel superhero movies. Man, I can't do it. I cannot do it. All the CGI of like things flying around the sky, and regardless if they're in different worlds or planets or whatever, not, I can't get into it at all. That's just me personally. But this kind of stuff for me, it works every time. Like you look at movies like Fright Night and The Gate and all these other movies that did these kind of practical effects, and it's always going to look a lot more. It's still real to me, damn it, right? Like it's still always going to look, you know, a lot more realistic to me than maybe somebody that's not used to this kind of stuff.
Yeah, I think the I'm just trying to think off the top of my head. The last time I saw a CGI that looked somewhat real and looked good was the Shallows. I don't know if you've seen that, but the shark they looked in it. There were quite a few times, like even its first appearance. I was thinking, I'm like, it looks awfully real. Is that? I had to take a second. I'm like, was that a CGI or is that when it came out, it kind of in a way kind of like Bruce, from Jaws. So took me a second. That's very rare. It's very rare.
It is very rare. But this, it works. And like you said, you can just tell that the time and effort that was put into a lot of this stuff, as lame and puppeteering as it may look, it was just, you could tell the love was there. Nowadays, to put something together on CGI doesn't take much at all. We can get into a lot more, of this kind of stuff. This is, definitely a topic that I think I need to discuss and other people need to discuss, is just what their opinions on it. Personally, to me, like, again, I'm sure this is not the popular opinion here, but if you asked me what looks better to you, Godzilla from back in the day or the new Godzilla vs. King Kong trailer, I'm going to tell you the original King Kong Godzilla, to me, I don't care if it was guys in suits, that still looks better to me than what we have now. It's almost that it's just too overdone, that it just doesn't, like, I look at that and I see, like, to me, it almost looks like Roger Rabbit, right? It's like an animated thing in like real life. Like, that's what I see when I see this stuff. And I can't help it. I don't know why. Like, I can pick it out so easy. It does nothing for me on a personal basis.
Well, let's check this out, Garrett, because we're live, pal. We're live, pal. I'm just wondering, is there still people watching? Is there anybody on there?
Yeah, we got a couple. Yeah. We have like 10 people that are still watching. So,
oh wow, I was gonna say we should do a live poll right now. Vote right now. Yeah. CGI or CGY? Shout out everybody in space. Shout out, yeah, there you go. We should do a live poll right now as we continue to discuss, and then check the results later.
I will. So, guys, yeah, if you guys are watching, and be honest, like, do you like CGI, or, like he said, put CGY? Like, why are we still doing this and not going back to practical? Understandably, why I know why we're not going back to practical for financial reasons and time, but what do you prefer in your movies? Would you rather have a practical special effect, or would you rather have CGI effects? Let us know, CGI or CGY, to represent Mr. Squires down here. And while we're doing this, I will just jump in because there have been a couple things that have popped through since we've last jumped down here.
Oh, so wow,
Dead Pit Radio is here, and they said, Black Roses seems like a perfect pick for somebody like Vinegar Syndrome to do on Blu-ray. So weird nobody has brought this out in HD. Yeah, I totally agree. I would love Vinegar Syndrome to get this thing.
That would be awesome.
They do awesome jobs on their transfers. Like I said, the transfer is already nice as it is. I think with just the colors, there's a lot of stuff that happens during the day. It starts out with the bright Lamborghinis. It's got the animation. I think this would really pop in HD for sure. We have Joe Bob Tarheel says, yo, what's up? Loves the jacket. Boom. Thank you, my man. I appreciate it. And we got a couple things coming through right now. Actually, you know what? Joe Bob said a good one. You know what? It was another CGI movie that did it right. And I do agree with this one. And this is Mad Max Fury Road. I think that they did a real good job with that movie. No doubt. That is something I can definitely back up and say I could definitely watch that. I don't know what made it work in comparison to what else we see, but you're right. It did work really well.
It's an awesome movie.
CGY, no doubt. So we have everybody right now is CGY. So if this is something that maybe Mr. Squires needs to bring back, because could be a nice topic for discussion here. Even still in 2021, like I said, I still can't get behind it. I cannot get behind it at all. Even horror movies when they're doing ghosts and stuff like that, I can't. And to be honest, like, there was scenes in like The Ring, like her coming out of the TV. Yeah, was that CGI done? Sure. I mean, I guess. I don't know how that was done, but that, for whatever reason, still works for me. Regardless of, I don't know how it was done. But I know they did do
that is like one of the scariest things like you could show my wife. I can't even talk about that scene without her freaking out. And I try to tell her that it's CGI. She's like, yeah, Samara freaks her out.
Well.
That is like one of the scariest things she's ever seen. Yeah.
And you know why I think it was done well? I think it was done well because they used CGI while it was almost like she was coming out of a digital thing like a TV, and then they turned it into almost, I think, practical, which I think made it work because she was from a television, so it kind of made it work. And man, I'm going to tell you, that scene, again, I haven't seen The Ring in a long time, but that was a big scene for me where when I saw that movie, I literally got chills up my spine in the theater when that scene happened. And we can get into that as well because I like doing these because we can kind of go off topic and talk with the chat. But another scene, funny enough, that did that to me around that same time, I was really, getting into going to see more horror movies because that was kind of a big time for horror movies. They started coming in and out. But another scene that, my tingles in my spine was in the movie Signs, where that alien walked across like the birthday party. I don't know if anybody remembers that.
Oh yeah. The home video, right? They see in the
yeah. Dude, that I was like, I remember seeing that for the first time, and like I don't know why. Not that it was scary, but like it literally like sent chills up and down my spine when I saw that for the first time, and when I got it on DVD and I saw it again, I was like, ooh, that still freaks me out for some reason. But
I don't know. It was a nice little jump, You weren't expecting it. It just came out like, oh, like a little startling.
No, I think it was too. I think it was one of those things where, you know what, like if things were ever gonna get that way, and all of a sudden like aliens were like here or whatever, like that to me was it was almost how it would be, right? Like someone would have their phone out and they're like, oh my God, I swear to God, there's something here. And then you would see it just kind of walk by and look at the camera. And it, that I think it was just because it was so subtle and it wasn't so in your face and it wasn't such like a jump scare or whatever. It was just, to me, it was kind of like, that's how it would be if something like this ever went down. Like it just seemed very realistic for me at the time.
Yeah. That's the thing I remember most about the movie. I've only seen it maybe a couple of times, but that scene I always remember. And that was, that's one thing where I was like, whoa.
We talked about The Ring.
What's that?
Make sure you tell your wife we talked about The Ring.
Oh yeah, I'm sure. Yeah. We just went to we went to this horror thing back in October, where they did not give a shit about intellectual property. So they had Freddie, Jason, everybody was there. Yeah, Samara, the girl talked to her, followed her, and my wife was screaming like a child. I mean, it was definitely one of her skip. But that movie that you put that scene on, she's out of the room. She's gone. Yeah, out. It's finished.
That's the works again since the last time I saw it. But yeah. So everybody has said CGY so far. So
it's we can kind of move on. Clean sweep.
It was a clean sweep, actually. So we can definitely move on from that. But again, that's just my opinion when it comes to these kind of effects. And when movies have effects like this, I'm usually drawn to it. And I can't tell you why. Maybe it was just how I grew up and the things I was watching back then. But I was always into these kind of 80s special effects. Fright Night being one of my favorite movies and one of those gateway movies that got me into horror. And I think maybe that's just kind of what set it off, because to me, the special effects in that were always incredible.
Yeah. I mean, the person who made this movie, he had, so we did, I've only seen like a few of his movies. So, and they're kind of filmed in succession. So you had a Rock and Roll Nightmare. And he had a lot of these same kind of effects and like evil demonic puppetry in it. You had this movie, Black Roses, with, we're going to talk about. And then, the Jitters, he actually has like this, while it was like vampires and fangs, he does have this moment with special effects moment that comes in there with like this super roided out vampire. So yeah, like he always kind of stayed on those effects. I think that was like his thing. I think that's something he liked to have in every one of his films, but I think it works. You could definitely see he makes sure that it he highlights the special effects kind of puppetry portion of his flicks.
Well, that's awesome that you bring that up, because I have not seen the Jitters. It actually was in my Amazon cart, and then it said out of stock. So maybe your review, man, hop that thing up or whatever. But I'm waiting for it to come back in stock. I do have Rock and Roll Nightmare. Is that what it was? Rock and Roll Nightmare? Is that what it's called?
Yeah, Rock and Roll Nightmare.
So I do have that one. Synapse put that one out as well, and it's definitely a good double feature with this. I have actually not watched that in a long time. I remember when I bought these I think I bought them around the same time, and I always like Black Roses better. But again, I haven't watched Rock and Roll Nightmare in a long time, so it's definitely something I want to check out again. Now, were those the only movies this guy did? Was these three, or were these three kind of almost around the same time frame? Just out of curiosity, because if it is, then I want to make sure to add the other one to my collection as well.
Yeah, it's 87, 88, and 89. So Rock and Roll Nightmare, 87, Black Roses, 88, Jitters, 89. All kind of shot in a row. Some of the other thing, I think after this, though, I do know that he went on to write more, I guess, more writing than directing. But I think he did some things in the later 90s that aren't in the genre, kind of different. But I mean, those three are pretty memorable. Rock and Roll Nightmare I just watched very recently. And like I say, it's just nostalgia. It's got the same kind of fun music, but this movie, this is definitely his best. Jitters is very comedic. It's definitely a different feel than the other two. This by far is, I think, of the 80s trilogy, this of his trilogy in the 80s, this is his best. But Rock and Roll Nightmare is just very, almost in a Miami Connection kind of corny way, because he had that connection with Thor. John Miki Thor's in it. So funny thing I did in my research, I found this out, is I guess is a great segue. So he is the main guy in Rock and Roll Nightmare, which has the best surprise ending outside of Sleepaway Camp, right? I mean, this comes out of nowhere, and it's magical. He was supposed to, John Miki Thor, they're supposed to team up again, and he was supposed to play Damien in this movie. But Thor,
okay.
yeah. So Thor had all of these, I guess, problems with his wife at the time. And it's funny because I saw the documentary for Thor very recently. And it's right around this time he was having problems with his wife, and there was legal things going on, all kinds of things going on. So he wasn't able to do it. And I think this is where he found. So I feel bad in a way that didn't happen. But I'm just saying, the way that Sal Viviano plays Damien here, like, Thor is like kind of like this big muscle, crazed look in his face. I think what really worked, first of all, the world would not have been graced with the magicalness that is Sal Viviano, right? Damien. But even when he plays him, and Mr. Morehouse goes to talk to him, I mean, he's kind of a little bit of a Southern twang to his talk, and he's just very, like, he does not seem very opposing, and I would have fallen for it too, like Mr. Moore does. Like Mr. Moore just thinks this is a working stiff.
Like, I think that if they would have went the other way around, like, he looks like, hey, I don't know if I can believe this guy, but this, like you said, when he goes and talks to Damien, it's almost like he realizes that Damien, the person, is not, it's like he's playing a gimmick when he's on stage, right? Like, like you said, he kind of totally changed what he, how he sounded. I think, again, get me wrong, he had, like, his hair was different, right, when he wasn't on stage.
The most disappointing moment of that movie was when I found out that beautiful mane that he had earlier in the movie when he gets out of his Lamborghini, totally fake. It's a wig. Very disappointing.
That was definitely a big disappointment for sure. Mm-hmm. But it just kind of leads to, like, everything where, like, who is this guy? But like you said, he did it was great for the role because he did a good job, like you said, when he went to talk to the parents or whatever, and he just kind of came straight off like a regular guy, and not like he was in it for, the wrong reasons, or he had any, plan or anything like that. So like you said, I think that definitely, helped out. Now we have some more comments coming through in here.
Oh, let's hear them. Yeah. Thank you, everybody, for participating. This is great. Yeah.
So, okay. So I have two things in here that I definitely want to chat about because I knew this. I think I wasn't sure exactly what movie. So, all right. So we have a cool appearance by Mr. Thomas Bryce right now.
Shout out.
He said Shock 'em Dead is better than all of these music movies. Okay. He said Shock 'em Dead is better. Now, what's funny about that is I own Shock 'em Dead on Blu-ray. Mm-hmm. Shock 'em Dead on Blu-ray I have, and it is not opened. It is completely sealed. I had never opened it, not for any reason, just randomly haven't opened it. And underneath, Joe Bob says, Wet Movies, late dad was in Shock 'em Dead, if I'm not mistaken. Okay. Now, Wet Movie is somebody that I've followed since I, pretty much got into movie collecting. He was one of the first people that had a YouTube channel. I used to go on there, see what he was talking about. If I didn't see it or own it, I would go and purchase it. So he's an OG. I remember a video of him talking about his dad being in a rock and roll type movie, horror movie. Now, I was not sure which one that was, and I remember I bought Shock 'Em Dead, and I'm wondering if that was why. I'm wondering if that was the movie that he was in, and I was like, oh, I gotta get it, or if it was like Hard Rock Zombies or something like that. I don't remember, but I do own whatever his dad was in. I just don't know what his dad looks like, so I wouldn't know where to find him. So
okay, wait a minute. If his dad was in Hard Rock Zombies, him and I need to talk. That's like one of my favorite movies ever. Anyone that knows me knows that this movie I love. Look, I had the VHS just randomly right here. I did not plan this.
It was it was either that or maybe like Terror on Tape or something. He was Terror on Tour or whatever the heck it was. He was in one of those movies, and maybe it was Shock 'Em Dead, and maybe that's why I bought it when I saw it came to Blu-ray, because I was like, oh, I think this is that movie that Brendan's dad was in. Brendan, I'm sure at maybe some point you'll probably check this out. Let us know, dude. Which movie?
Yeah, let us know. That'd be great. And yes, I've had this discussion with Tom. I've had this discussion a couple of times. That's his favorite, Shock 'Em Dead, and I do like Shock 'Em Dead. So
all right. I've never seen it, so it might be one that I have to open up and put in the player, because like I said, I do have it on Blu-ray, and I think it's still sealed, to be honest with you. Yeah. So I will definitely check that out, especially because of you and Mr. Bryce's recommendations, because you guys always have good stuff. So, so as we kind of go to the conclusion of this, basically now the kids have almost been possessed in a sense. They become like devils. They're transforming into these crazy monsters at this point. And, they're attacking the parents, and things are just going nuts and going wild here. And this is where you really start seeing a lot more of this special effects. The Damien's turning into a monster. You've got the band is turning into all these creatures. The kids are turning. And again, it is one of those things that some of the creatures are so cheesy, but at the same time, in my opinion, it works so well.
Yeah.
Like when the teacher's finally like, oh, I'm going to score with this student. And all of a sudden she turns into like this hideous looking monster with breasts or whatever. And it's just so bonkers that like this teenage girl turns into this, right? And now he's got to like fight her and stuff like that. So things just get bonkers, guys. And it's just, again, it goes back to like that 80s horror, I don't even know how you would categorize it, but just like that really cheesy but works type of thing. And that's kind of where we go here.
Yeah, I mean, let's. I think this is the best part to talk about this. We're talking about the cheesy effects. Like, yeah, the more concerts they go to, like the shit starts hitting the fan. They're straight up killing their parents. You've got friends of friends are going to actually they're seducing their parents and making them die of heart attacks. I mean, everything starts going crazy. But then we have our out of nowhere cameo, and this was his very, very first film role. And I'm talking about, for you Soprano fans, Big Pussy, right? Vincent Pastore, another one of my paisans, right? So he shows up in the movie, right? And he comes out of nowhere. So one of the one of the little real rough and tough kids is there. He's like working out, listening to the Lizzie Borden song, and out of nowhere, Big Pussy comes in. Hey, help your mother with the dishes. A fangul. I mean, he goes right down all of the stereotypes my people have endured. He goes right down the line of all of it. The fangul and I was waiting for him to like straight up go help your mother make the gabagool. I mean, like he's great in it, right? So but that's like the coolest part. I mean, it's not the best effects, but if I can continue, Garrett, the guitar's playing. I mean, the record's playing, and the dad's trying to turn it off. Well, all of a sudden, the speaker starts to pulse. The speaker's on the wall, one of these like 80 speakers, and this spider-looking crab thing, whatever, jumps out and attacks him, right? And like wraps around his face and pulls Big Pussy in to the speaker. I mean, like all the way in, the feet and everything.
Yeah.
Very, very great practical effect back. I mean, that's to me, that's the most memorable part of the movie. I mean, it's the special effects speaking. I mean, that was back then, and I was like, wow, like you've never seen anything like that, you know? I mean, that's what was great about the movie this guy did. He always had something crazy that you would never see like anywhere else.
Right.
Very, very creative on a very low budget.
I agree. And it goes back to where it's like those off the wall bonkers special effects. And it's just, again, it's just so, I would say it's so 80s. And that's what kind of made, you know, the genre so strong at that point was, you know, just things here that you're seeing here that you just knew, like, this is just stuff you would never see anywhere else, you know?
That's right.
That's what made it captivating. Even like as kids, like, why did we all, you know, not all, but most of us, you know, lure over to the horror section because those covers were just so off the wall and bonkers that as a little kid, you're like, oh my God, what is this going to be? Like, you know, you're looking at Happy Birthday to Me and there's a skewer going in this guy's mouth. Like, right? What part of you as like an 8-year-old kid isn't like, what is this movie about? You know what I mean? Like, it's just, that was what drew you in. And that's why a lot of these things work, because especially, you know, at a certain age, you're looking at this, and as much as you look at it now as we're, you know, 40 years old or so, right? Like, we're looking at it as like, oh yeah, I can see how it could be cheesy in 2021. But back then you were just kind of like, wow, it was so out there that it just was just so fascinating.
Yeah, man. Back then, I mean, that was it. That was the draw. You know, I mean, if you're at the movies, you had the movie poster. You had one image to catch somebody. The video store, you flipped over. There was a couple little things at the back. I mean, that's what draws you in. I mean, that was the draw. That's what got you to rent these things and want to watch them. Absolutely.
Yep.
Off the wall. The more off the wall, the better. Yeah,
like this story I remember in kindergarten, and this girl, Kristen, that was in my grade, and I can remember her telling, I don't know if she was telling the teacher or just us kids, like at recess or something, that she had saw The Blob, and she was legit saying like, and you know, as kids, we're trying to figure out what she's talking about. She's like, there's this blob that, you know, will if you see it, like, it's going to eat you. And, you know, as a kid in kindergarten, you're like, what is this thing she's talking about? But she caught it on TV, and like to a 5-year-old, like, you know, seeing something where like this pink sludge is like eating people, like, you know, a part of you is kind of like, wait a minute, like, is this realistic? Like, I better not go near any slime that I'm going to see. So, you know, things like that would just go so off the wall. They worked in some aspect, you know, like I'm sure she probably still remembers that to this day, that, you know, how much that freaked her out as a kid and not knowing if it was real or fake or whatever it was. But we have a couple things going on here, and hold on, we got Mr. Bryce and Squires are going back and forth here. Let's see what we got.
All right. Yeah, great.
The old school. So let's give those guys shout outs too, because when it came into the horror genre and I was really collecting movies and stuff like that, and you know, still living at home, and I had my computer in my room and I was searching for movies and stuff, these guys' sites here were the ones that I was definitely going into to get some ideas, and that is Freddy in Space and Mr. Shit Movie Fest. So they're in the chat right now, and those guys are the OGs in the community, at least to me, as I was really, really into collecting in my early 20s. All right, so John says he's actually been taking a shot every time you say Sal Viviano, and he said it's not looking good. Right?
Well, I'm not done talking about him, so we're going to say it again. Get ready.
And then Tom Bryce says Cassie's song would have been a #1 hit in every town in America if it got some radio play.
Wait, which one? Which one?
Cassie's song, he said. So,
yes.
Yeah, they're going back and forth. So, again, I appreciate it, guys. We have like 11 in here still right now. So thank you, guys.
Oh, yeah. Thanks for sticking in there. Yeah, shout out to those guys. Yes. Still very personal friends of mine from the blog days that I have personal friends to this very day. Yes, great guys. Yes.
Yeah, very, very cool guys for sure. Yeah, like thank you guys for hanging out with us. We've been in here an hour and 15. So if you're still kind of listening to us ramble, we'll kind of get into a close here. But you know, guys, Black Roses, we kind of talked about pretty much the movie a little bit, kind of told us some little things. Unless Geoff here has anything he wants to add to it now that we're kind of going to the closing moments of the film itself, you know, anything that he wants to add, maybe behind the scenes stuff, maybe certain things that we didn't touch upon here. Definitely, you know, let's talk about it while we still have some people checking it out.
Yes, yes. I mean, I will say, I guess, a couple of things that aren't very well known about the movie. One, I will say that my sister actually, I told her about Black Roses. I told her I was doing this. She had let me know. I had no idea. I've seen this movie a million times. That Mr. Morehouse in the film dates. I can't remember her name in the movie, but it's the mayor's daughter. So, and eventually Julie, when she becomes, because she loves Mr. Morehouse, when she gets all demonized or whatever, she, pretty much goes after and kills the competition literally and kills his daughter. That's Lou Ferrigno's wife, the girlfriend of Mr. Morehouse, not Julie, the daughter. But I had no idea.
Yeah,
I had no idea. So shout out my sister. She's not on social, so I can't give her an ad. Shout out my sister. And then. What's that?
For sure. That's definitely a cool pickup because I had no idea either.
I had no idea. I right before we did this, she texted me. She goes, "Hey, did you know that?" And I'm like, "No." And I thought I knew everything about it, but there you go. So, and the person did the woman that leads the council, the parent. She's very conservative, and she's the one that definitely does not want them in town. So that is, I hope they're saying the name right. Julie Adams. She is the female lead in the old Creature of the Black Lagoon movie.
Huh. See, so, I didn't know.
Yeah. So and that's my dad's favorite. Like, we all like Freddy and Jason and all that, but my dad, the Creature of the Black Lagoon is his favorite all time. So that's why I know a lot about that movie growing up. But yeah, I didn't know until very recently when I was doing the GCap recap review. But yeah, that's who plays. So there's between her and Mr. Morehouse and Vincent Pastore, and I mean, there's all kinds of little, these little cameos in here that show up that I had no idea about. So,
yeah, that's news to me now. So yeah, thank you.
Yeah, there was the whole thing with Thor. I had no idea that he was going to be Damien, which was very cool. Yeah, basically I would say the one thing about Black Roses is that once again they took a very topical thing that was happening for many years at the time. Like I like the way you said it. It turned it on its head. It was actually like, all right, so what if they were really demons from hell and all that? Even though their name's Black Roses and their lead singer's Damien, and they go around giving each other, the wolf pack signs or whatever. They give them the devil horns. But yeah, what the heck? I got it. It was a really fun movie. It's a short movie. That's another thing about this guy's movies, man. By the time you're like, oh, geez, movie's over. So if you haven't seen it, it's great. I don't think it's on any streaming services right now, which kind of stinks. But I will say that a lot of the people in those movies are in Black Roses are also in his other films, as I mentioned, Sal Viviano too. I did want to. Oh, John, don't take it. Don't take a shot. Hold on, I haven't started yet. I slipped. but no. One interesting thing about this movie, right, is once again going down my rabbit hole of research. I went down a very strange rabbit hole. But the guy that plays Damien, right? He, I thought as a kid and all that stuff before I knew, I really thought he was singing these songs, right? So it's very interesting that I wanted to know that. I wish there was a way you could talk to this guy and ask about him, because if you go to Sal Viviano's website, you will see like he lists that he's been in these movies, the jitters and everything. So obviously he's very cool about it. If you see any kind of interviews I've seen, he makes jokes, about dating people. I mean, he seems like a very cool guy. I've always wondered if that's what if he was a singer, it's because it seems to me like that's what he does now. He's in Broadway or off Broadway kind of plays. That he's a performer at that level. That I wonder if that was his whole thing going in, is if he thought, they wanted to hire somebody who could actually sing, because the man can actually sing. Like if you hear,
they don't end up using it, right, at all.
No, they don't. I mean, it's basically a lip syncing. But then I see that he does nowadays Frank Sinatra tributes, and he does these all over the place. And I guess he must be very successful with them. And I mean, the dude's got pipes, man. I mean, he can belt it out. He's like a legit singer, which blew me away. And almost and a funny thing, like if I let my imagination run wild for a second, it's almost like that, he's still Damien, right? But now that he's older, he's an older Damien, he's now attacking the older crowd with Frank Sinatra versus the rock and roll with the kids.
You've gotta when the world's back to normal and you see he's playing, you gotta go in there and try to shut it down, Warn everyone.
Yeah. I was like, listen, I know what he's up to.
He's a ploy. Yeah. So what's funny that you say that about not actually using him and he can sing, right? That kind of brings me to another movie which I don't think a lot of people saw. Man, I'm gonna have trouble with it again as far as the name of the movie here. But Andy Black from Black Veil Brides was in it. It was recent, and it was about a band who it's very similar. Like they almost like sign a contract with the devil to become like a popular hard rock band. Came out in the last couple of years. It was a lot of the people that did. I think it was like a lot of people that worked on like Rob Zombie's Halloween, like did it. I'm trying to think what the name of the movie was. American Satan, it was called.
I saw this. And Malcolm McDowell is the devil, right? Yeah. Okay.
Yes. So, which is interesting because there's some cool songs in that, and I'm like, oh, sweet, these are some cool tracks. I wonder if this is like off their next album or something. And come to find out, another band did the music for that movie, and he just like performed it on stage, like lip synced it on stage. But it's really another band's music, and I'm like, so weird. Like, why wouldn't they just use their own music? They're a band. Like, it is very odd that like things like that happen. I don't know if it has to do with rights issues or whatever with like music companies or who knows, right? But it's just very interesting because I was like, some of those songs were really cool in that movie, and I went to find them, and it come to find out it was a totally different band that performed it.
Yeah, that's one of those that's one of those movies I saw very recently where I just put it on for whatever, and I wound up getting all the way to the end. They leave you on a cliffhanger. I'm hoping we get a sequel, but the music on it was great. I like that movie.
Pretty underrated. Nobody talks about it. I thought it was, again, you take hard rock and you add a little horror elements to it, and I'm all about it, right? It was cool. I thought it was pretty cool. Yeah.
I mean, like I said, I would like to ask Sal Viviano about, some of the things, but I thought maybe I'd reach out to him. But I mean, when I went to his website, because he got a YouTube channel, he's got a website, and, he's much older now, but they're like, if you want to contact him, I guess like you have to go through his reps, whatever. And, like he's got like an agency, so I'm like, I guess it's not something I could randomly reach out. So on my videos, I've been throwing in these baits for him to contact me, so hopefully he'll see this too. Sal, hit me up.
It's one of those things where I think if it's something that you want, ask. The worst is going to happen is going to say no, or we just get Jay from Icon versus Icon to set up an interview with them because he seems to be able to make those work. So sure, he can set something up, maybe have you squirt some questions over there for him. But
please. I don't think John's liver can handle me saying his name much longer, so that's why I'm gonna leave it with that.
So a couple of things before we end, just because I'm running out of juice here on my computer, so I don't want to randomly shut off here. So a couple things. Again, if you guys haven't already bought into this movie already, I suggest get it. I do not think the DVD is out of print, considering GCap says he recently got his, and I don't know what he paid for it, but. I don't think it's out of print, surprisingly. It seems like a title that would be, especially in 2021, and it's been out quite a while. Another thing, too, that we didn't talk about, but if you want a heart-crushing, if you're a big nerd and grew up in the 80s and 90s in this movie, you can watch a little kid throw his superheroes and his He-Man toys in the fire, and it's kind of heartbreaking, actually. So you get to see that, too. We didn't get into it.
Yeah, the DC superheroes. He calls because he starts listening to it too. He's listening to music, so he's throwing Batman in there, calling him the bad guys or whatever. That kid is in Rock and Roll Nightmare, Black Roses, and The Jitters. It's the director's son. He's in every one of his movies. Yeah, and he always plays like a scene like that you always remember.
Why are you doing that to your toys? The dad I was I'm like, oh, those are so valuable now. You're just gonna throw.
Yeah. What have you done? Those things.
Yeah, guys. So again, I would. This is why we're doing these. Just to chit chat with all of you, really quick. Tom Bryce chimed in and says that the band security sucks because they just let a guy randomly go on stage and start trying to light fire everywhere. Yeah, they were terrible. So guys, if you have not seen this movie, please go find it, check it out. and let us know down below what you thought of it, and if we got you to go buy this thing for the first time, or if you haven't seen it in a long time and you own it, now's the time to rewatch it and let us know down below what you thought of it this time around after we kind of discussed it.
Yeah.
And if you want a little bit more Black Roses and a little bit more depth, go check out GCap's review of it. He kind of adds his own style to the review, and it's definitely entertaining. So grab yourself a drink and go check that one out when we're finished here.
Yeah, if I could just have a second too, like give my shout outs and promo some things. I can give some cheap plugs here, do some cheap pop here. Yeah, shout out Freddy in Space. Shout out at Freddy in Space, excuse me. Shout out Kim Fall, right? UL, not 2 L's, right? Shout out at Shit Movie Fest, right? These are all Twitter handles. And then for Instagram, shout out Thread X Savage. Thread X Savage. So I'm sure he's been watching this and commenting as well. So I'm gonna give my shout outs. Next week I'm gonna be releasing a new GCap recap. It's gonna be Super Bowl themed, and it's gonna be the movie I'm gonna be covering. I don't know if you've seen this, is the Program from 1993. So I'm gonna be doing that one. So if you haven't seen it, it's a great movie. It's a good movie. So I'm gonna be doing that next week for the Super Bowl.
That's awesome, man. So yeah, guys, check him out. You can check him out on Instagram. You can check him out on YouTube at GCap Recap. Myself, same thing. If you're watching this here, you obviously have seen my channel before. Please subscribe if you haven't. Liked this video if you guys had fun tonight. It's just going to help me motivate me to do more of these. I want to try to get different guests on all the time, talking about movies that we both have in common, and try to give it a little bit new life. So thank you guys again. I don't know if I even said follow me on Instagram at Born to Be Rad as well. And thank you, everybody who came and hung out today. I love when the people are writing in the chat. We have about 14 people saying goodbye to us right now. So this is great, guys. You hung out in there, coming and going. Thank you so much. Until next time, you want to sign us off, Mr. GCap?
Yes. Yes. As what do you want me to sing a song?
Me against the world. I mean, he's going. He's going to get that guitar to sign us off. Go. Ready? Let's rock, baby.
Should I do Lizzie Borden?
Go for it.
I don't know if I could scream.
Thank you, Tom.
Let me see. Yeah, this is very impromptu, so I just want to make sure I got the.
You better hurry up. We're losing viewers here. Come on.
No. I cannot wait. I won't be second rate. I'm in for the kill. It's me against the world. Me against the world. It's me against the world. Bye, guys. See you later.